Okay, and then the third game that I want to get into in depth a little is Oklahoma State and Mississippi. Ole Miss is a 3-point fave here, and I'm wondering if they really should be. Ole Miss, of course, was ranked as high as number 4 this year. They were seen as a top team and a likely contender for the SEC championship. They wound up playing very inconsistently during the year, and now they come into this bowl out of the top 25. But they still, do have a very strong overall team with a lot of potential, a great defensive line, and guys at the skill positions who can be explosive. On the other side, Oklahoma State they're interesting. They were awful in their last regular season game against Oklahoma, but their quarterback, Zach Robinson, was playing through an injury in that one, and it pretty clearly was affecting him a lot. The Oklahoma State looked like they may have packed it in a bit in that one. Now Robinson is reportedly, quote-unquote, close to 100%, whatever that means. So should Mississippi be a favorite here, or is this more of like a coin flip game where you're getting a little value with Oklahoma State as a dog?
I like Oklahoma State very small. I make them a 2-point favorite, so you could play them on the money line. You could play them, getting a point or so. But it's not a very interesting game for me.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of how I was seeing this game as well. All right, and then let's just quickly run down the rest of these bowl games. South Florida and Northern Illinois. This game's going to be played indoors in Canada, so weather won't be a factor. The turf might be fast. Northern Illinois played competitively with Wisconsin and Purdue this year. So what do you think of Northern Illinois plus 6.5 and maybe the over 49?
I like Northern Illinois and the over. Nothing great, but I lean on both of those.
Okay, and then UConn and South Carolina. This game opened South Carolina -7. Now it's down to about 4.5. UConn, of course, had the tragic death of the prominent player this year on defense. They also hung pretty close in most games, even if they didn't pull out wins in all of them. They do, though, have a very vulnerable secondary, which sort of plays right into the strength of South Carolina and their strong passing game, led by veteran quarterback Steven Garcia. So what do you think here?
I loved them at the earlier number, but I'm not too interested at +4. I still lean on Connecticut, but no play.
Okay, and then East Carolina and Arkansas. Arkansas is a 7.5-point favorite. They've got a great 6'7" quarterback who can be very dangerous. Arkansas, of course, played a very tough SEC regular season schedule. They played both Florida and Alabama and almost beat Florida outright on the road. East Carolina has a number of strengths, but they also got beat solidly by the 3 major conference teams that they played this year. What do you think about Arkansas -7.5? And I'm sure you're going to say no to this, but what do you think about using Arkansas on a teaser?
I think ECU is the right side, and I hate Arkansas on a teaser for 16,000 reasons, but one of which is that this is a high-totaled game. A good rule of thumb, if you're considering teasing a favorite, is to look at the Polish middle and say, is that profitable? So if you're teasing it from 7.5 down to 1.5, you need a money line of at least about +270 to make a profitable Polish middle. And I think, let's see what the money line is here. Money line is about, there is 1,275, but most of the market's a lot lower. So yeah, that's I wouldn't touch that teaser.
Right. So you'd lean East Carolina. What was your line on that?
I made it indicator closer to pick.
Pick 'em. Okay. Interesting. And then Michigan State, Texas Tech. This game was taken off the board because of a few X factors that came up since the line opened. First of all, Michigan State will have 11 players suspended for this game, including their number 2 and 3 receivers, as well as their top cover corner, and that might hurt more. That's really going to hurt them since their secondary wasn't great to begin with. They were vulnerable against the pass anyway, and that's, of course, Texas Tech's big strength. Texas Tech's coach, though, was also suspended for this game for some strange errant behavior. But on the stats, there's some reason to lean towards Texas Tech on a blowout, since their strength in the passing game does match up so favorably with Michigan State's weak and now weaker pass defense. And Texas Tech's D is also probably a bit better than advertised, but still, 8 points is a lot to give in a bowl game like this with so many unknowns floating around. So what do you think here?
This is a hard game to get a fix on. I think losing 11 players through a suspension will have a much bigger impact than losing a coach that is arguably a jerk. I mean, come on, if you're gonna force a kid with a concussion to play, make sure he's not the son of an ESPN analyst.
So you have no opinion on this line, or?
I'm not going to touch this one. There's too many things in the air. I'm just pass.
Okay, all right. And then the final game before the BCS championship game is Troy and Central Michigan. These are two lower conference teams with huge offenses, huge passing games, less focused on defense. The total's pretty high, but it feels like it might still be hard for the game to stay under, even at that line. Central Michigan has an extremely powerful offense at this level of competition. And on the other side, the one MAC team that Troy played this year was Bowling Green. They couldn't hang with them. Central Michigan beat Bowling Green pretty easily, as well as all the other MAC teams. So is 3.5 too low of a spread? What do you think of these lines? Central Michigan minus 3.5 and a total of 63.
I made it 3 and 62, so no interest.
Okay, well, there we go. That's it for the post-January 1st bowl games, and all we have left to look at now is the championship game. You ready for that?
All right, I'm good to go. Fire away.
Okay, great. So watch for our BCS championship preview coming up next, and we'll see if there's any value there on the side or the total. For SBR.TV, I'm Peter Loshak.